Man, you're very knowledgeable. That's incredible.
Well, that's the
Uh,
Holy Spirit, brother. That's not me. I don't take
I
credit. I have
know.
no
Hey,
formal
yeah,
education.
you're guided. You're guided. I tell you
Well,
that.
that's amazing. A Muslim says I'm guided because I worship Jesus not in the
Well,
flesh. So,
that's another thing that's surprising me, right? They were talking about how Jesus fulfilled the prophecy when
which
Jesus
one?
was talking about like how Jonah was in the belly of the fish for
Yep.
3 days and 3 nights,
Yep.
and he came out alive. So, in order to fulfill that prophecy, right? I hear, and then I want to hear your version about it. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about what's your question though? Because there's
So,
two
so for example,
objections that they bring up. Go ahead.
right, like Dr. Zakir Naik and those guys.
No, it's not- you heard.
No,
No,
that
just like
guy.
Jonah was alive, he is alive.
Right? So Jesus has to be alive to fulfill the prophet. That's what he says.
Well, he
So
can say what he wants.
I
It's not
know.
what Jesus said. The comparison is.
Exactly. So I want to hear your perspective on that.
No, there's two problems with what Naik is saying in repeating what he heard from D. Dot. It's not from Naik, by the way. It's from D. Dot.
Mhm.
Naik repeats it. But number one, he assumes that Jonah was alive. That's an assumption. But number two, he assumes that the comparison is the condition of Jonah as opposed to the time that Jonah was in the belly of the whale. What do I mean? Here, let me show you. Because I thought I quoted in the article. I didn't, but that's okay. Matthew 12, 38, 41. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees said to him, Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you. But he answered them, and the evil adulterous generation seeks after a sign. And no sign will be given to except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days, this is where Jesus is drawing the analogy, not his condition, whether he was there alive or dead, but the period of time.
Mhm.
As Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man, he explains it, will be 3 days, 3 nights in the heart, in the heart of the earth. So he's not saying my condition will be like Jonah's condition. So whether he was alive or dead, therefore I'll have the same condition. No, he's saying just like Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, I'll be in the heart of the earth for the same period of time.
Mhm.
That's the first response. But then I'll let you bring up because I know what the other part of the objection is. So do you know the other part or are you going to bring it up?
No, I don't know the other part actually.
Oh, okay. All right. So why should I bring it up? The other part will say, well, Jesus wasn't 3 days and 3 nights in. I don't even know why I brought it up, but I'm going to bring it up. Anyway, I have the article here. Jesus wasn't 3 days and 3 nights in the earth because if he died Friday and he's buried Friday, that's Friday. And then you have Saturday and then Sunday. So that's Friday evening, all day Saturday, and Sunday morning. That's not 3 days, 3 nights, you see? That's the other objection that they bring up. The only problem with that is that's not the meaning of 3 days and 3 nights. If you let the Bible explain what it means to speak of 2 days or 2 nights, or 1 day and 1 night, or 3 days and 3 nights, it doesn't mean literally 72 hours. It means any period of time that will last up until the third day. How do I know it? I'll show it to you. And I'll give you a modern English example just to help you understand in English. If I say, how many days a week do you work?
6 days.
But how many hours in a day is there? A day has how many hours?
24.
So you work 6 24-hour days? Hold on, my daughter.
No.
But you just said 6 days, dude.
Okay, I see. I work 3 days.
So, but you work how many days?
3 days.
3 days only?
Yeah, 12 hours.
How many? Well, no, brothers. You said 6 days. Get stuck
I
for that.
know, I know.
But I thought days 24 hours. So you work 6 24-hour days?
No, I work 6 12 hours days.
So the point is, even in English, you have what they call idiomatic expressions, idioms, where a person understands what you mean. So I say, man, I work 5 days. The person knows you don't mean 5 24-hour days. It means that you work part of a day, but you can call it a day. Likewise, in the culture of Jesus, not your culture or mine, when you say to someone 3 days and 3 nights or 2 days and 2 nights, you're not saying 72 hours or 48 hours. You're meaning a period lasting up until the third day. And how do we know? Here it is, Matthew 16:21. And then he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. The same gospel says that Jesus said he'd be raised on a third day. But if 3 days and 3 nights were literal, then he should have said he'd be raised up on the fourth day. Right?
Yeah, I remember because I read the Bible in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Or here, Matthew 17:22-23. They will kill him, and on the third day he'll be raised to life. Again, on the third day he'll be raised to life. So point being, 3 days and 3 nights for the Jewish audience.
Right.
I'll give you guys the article. Does not mean literally 72 hours, because if you meant 70 hours, that means you would say, and he'd be raised on the fourth day. It only means a period of time lasting up until the third day. So that's how it works. So that does not prove Jesus was alive in the grave, nor does it prove that Jesus did not remain in the grave 3 days and 3 nights, because it's not meant to be 72 hours, let alone the fact that if you read Jonah very carefully, the impression given by Jonah is that he actually died. His soul actually went into Sheol, into the prison, and then his soul was summoned to return to his body, if you read Jonah 2 carefully.
Man, you're very knowledgeable. That's incredible.
Well, that's the Holy Spirit, brother. That's not me. I don't take
I know, hey.
formal education.
You're guided. You're guided. I tell you.
Well, that's amazing. A Muslim says I'm guided because I worship Jesus in the
Well,
flesh.
that's another thing that's surprising me, right? Like, for example, when I was on the live of, I call him Avery, Godlogic, right?
Yeah.
So everybody was like, "Can every Muslim be this chill?" And I'm like, I don't know why non-Muslim is like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because we have jerks in every group. We have Christians who are jerks in every group. But anyway.
Yeah.